Now the next phase of the remodel project and makeover project is to take our house, and on the left hand side we're going to nest another gable, and then we're going to copy that to the other side of the house. So we're going to go from this style of a house to this style of house. So you'll notice the nested gable has a shed roof. And let me jump back into the program and we'll go through the process. So I have the program open, and again I'm going to use the split screen method where I have my floor plan on the left and the 3D view on the right so you can see exactly what we're doing. The first step is to add this nested pop-out. So using the wall tool, I'm going to select the exterior wall, and I'm just going to come in here. And by the way, when you're drawing a wall out, you can press the tab key and the dialog will come up allowing you to enter in a precise dimension. So if I type in 24 inches, that will place a 24-inch wall. Now I'm going to select the end of that wall using this end diamond and just pull that around, and then again pull it back into the house. So you can see the way that's created. Now that's created a very interesting roof style that we'll go through and correct. The first thing is I want to dimension this so it's exactly 8 feet by 2 feet on that pop-out. So I'm just going to turn on my temporary dimension. I have it in my menu off to the right hand side of your screen. Select that, and I'm just going to kind of click on this wall. You'll see a temporary dimension display. I can highlight that, and I'm going to enter in precisely 8 feet. And now I'm going to use my shift key and click so I have all three of those walls selected. Then I'm going to use the center tool and center it on that window. I could have expanded my dimensions down here to cover that just by simply clicking on the extra diamond, pulling that in, and attaching it, and then typing in the number off of the dimension. So I have the pop-out added on there. And the next step before we correct the roof is let's grab this window, and I'm just going to use Control X on the keyboard to cut it, and then Control V on the keyboard to paste it. And we'll just come out and paste that on the outside. So I've moved the window, I've added the pop-out, and now what I need to do is let's select this segment of the wall, and I want to make this open so you can actually see through the window into the house instead of looking at siding. There's a break command up here in the toolbar called break wall. So if I select that, come down here, I'm going to create a notch here, and I'm going to create a notch here. Now if I delete, I like to use the walls to automatically generate the roof. I may remove them later when I turn off my automatic roof, but I like to leave those walls in place because it helps generate the roof. Walls have the intelligence and a roof setting in them to do that. So instead of deleting that wall, I'm actually going to just toggle it invisible by selecting it, clicking on it to open it, and there's an invisible setting that I can choose to give it room definition. So now you'll be able to see through the window. Now the next thing I'm going to do is use the wall tool to generate our roof. And step one is I want to raise the gable. If you take a look at our photo, I want to raise that gable up a couple of feet. So you can see in the rendering that I have here, those inner gables are raised up about 24 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this room divider tool, and I'm just going to come back here and draw out a room. And again, I'm not going to pay too much attention to the dimension. We'll just pull it back here. We'll just pull that around until it snaps orthogonally into place. You'll see a snap indicator come down there. And what I've done is I've formed a room here. I may have to pull that over just a little bit. I formed a room here, and I've used invisible walls or a room divider. You can use these walls if you have an entryway and you want a different flooring, you want a different ceiling height. So it kind of sounds a little strange, but invisible walls are to give you room definition. You can also use them to generate your roof styles. You'll notice that I have a roof over my porch. I've used invisible walls to generate that roof. You can't see the walls, but the objects are there. They're dashed lines. Now if I click in the area that we just highlighted here by creating that room, and I double click on it, I can then bring up the room dialog, and on the structure panel here you'll get a diagram that allows you to control the ceiling, the floor heights, and there's quite a few other settings in here, but the one that I'm really interested in is on the rough ceiling. I'm using roughly a 9-foot ceiling, and I'm just going to add 24 inches to that. And when I select OK, watch what happens in the 3D view to that roof structure. So let's go ahead and select OK, and now you can see that that's raised that roof panel up and avoided the conflict that we had with the two roof planes. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, again, if you want to just simply select that outside wall, there's a toggle down here that you can use to toggle a roof to hip and gable. And I'm going to select all three of these walls down here, and when I generated my roof, let me just actually bring open my roof panel here for you to see. When I generated my roof, my default is to have my overhangs at 18 inches. But for this nested pop-out that we have, I don't want to have the same 18 inches on that roof. So I can actually define that on a wall-by-wall basis. So let's close this Build Roof panel. And I want to select the three walls that are in question here. And if I double click to open them up, there's a roof panel. And I'm going to change the overhang to 8 inches for those. And select OK. And then when I do that, you'll be able to see the change on that roof overhang. So that's going to simply snug that up. Now on the two outside walls, since I want this to be a shed, select those walls and toggle that to a full gable. Now the other way you could do that is double click and open those walls, and on the roof panel all that does is it marks this full gable check mark or not. There's a few other options you can come in here and set it up, but it's typically toggling something between hip and gable. Select OK. So we have the basic structure of the roof on the left-hand side, and all I need to do now is copy those architectural elements and then reflect them for the symmetrical other side of the house. So let's go back into the program, and I'm just going to use my wall tool here, and I'm just going to draw a marquee around those areas that I want. So I've selected those. I'll zoom out. I'm going to use the copy tool, reflect around the front door, and paste that onto the other side. Now let's come over to the other side in our 3D view. And again, we need to do some cleanup work on this. And if I zoom in on my plan view, let me toggle off my temporary dimensions. They seem to clutter things up sometimes. So the wall that I need to adjust is this one right here that I've highlighted. So using the break tool, come in here and create a break in there. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that wall, and I'm just going to press the delete key. So that will open up that area. And just like we did on the other side, I'm going to highlight the room, open it up on the structure panel. I'm going to add 24 inches plus 24. Press the tab key, it will do the calculation for you. I'm doing that in E on the diagram so you can see where that corresponds. Select OK, and then that will raise that up. Now you'll notice that we have a gigantic vent in that gable, and it's actually in our attic wall. So let's go over to our floor plan view. Right now I'm on floor 1. If I move up a floor, it's in the attic floor. When I copied the walls, I only copied the walls from floor 1. I didn't copy that attic wall. And it probably wouldn't have worked if I would have copied it anyways, because it didn't exist in the same way, because it didn't copy the room height over. So there's two ways to solve it. One, you can select the attic wall and copy it, move it over. Or you can just select the attic wall on this side and pull it over, and it will repair that. And attic walls are typically generated automatically. The program's going to ask you, are you sure you want to interfere with that process? And I selected OK. Now if we maximize the 3D view here, you can see that we now have those symmetric pop-outs. So what we've done is we've added a nested pop-out on the left-hand side, done the necessary structures to raise that up, and then we copied that around to the other side. Now the next step of the project is to take that lap siding and update the siding and then add a stone wall on the bottom. And then we'll generate a look that is more like this. I'm also going to change the wall types for those nested shed pop-outs to have a different siding texture on those. So let's take a look at those steps.